Hello, and welcome to another gathering of the clangs. In other words, a brand new collection of clips showing highly respected film and television personages suddenly coming down with that well-known cholesterol problem, egg on the face. And if this venture into cock-up country seems to concentrate heavily on various aspects of America, well, after all, it was an American, Mr. Edward J. Phelps, who said, "The man who makes no mistakes does not usually make anything." Mind you, he had to say it 8 times before he got it right.
I know of no American who wants to be a rich slave. I know Americans would rather be poor and slaves. Poor and free, I should say.
Is it getting too commercialized? Are people losing the spirit?
No, I think Christmas is a wonderful thing. I think they should have it every year.
What, are you kidding? I wish I had shoulders that good. You know, the only pain you're going to feel is when you find out that I don't know the rest of this line.
I don't think these guys are any different than I am. One year I vote Republican, the next year I vote Democrat. I'm, what is it, not bisexual, but what is it?
So come get your bumper sticker today. And listen every afternoon at this time for our drawing. On weekdays, you can win a $20 Cocoa gift certificate. And on Fridays, a 19-inch color TV. Now for the drawing.
Do you think I don't know why they got me to make an entrance down that lot of stairs? Just hoping that with any luck, about halfway down, I'd trip, tumble, break a leg, and spend the rest of my life as an outtake. which incidentally is a word that does appear to be catching on, because following our last program, we not only got a letter from a lady who's now come to the conclusion she married one of humanity's outtakes, but from the operating room of a well-known hospital came some samples of their kind of outtakes. 2 tonsils and an adenoid. Thank you, Melvin. Moreover, we heard from a family in Hove about a young Italian girl that they'd had staying with them to learn the language, and apparently she immediately wanted to know how to make that little noise English-speaking people emit at moments of sudden high emotion. What little noise, they said to her. It is a sort of... What she was referring to, of course, was that Space Invaders signal we send on as a substitute in scenes like these.
Because if I had enough time, I would take those rosary bleeds and stuff them up your nose.
These bleeds?
Those bleeds.
You gotta take case and stuff up.
I take these bleeds here.
There is an immediate financial impact from the drought, but for us all,
On the day of a funeral, when she saw you chained to 2 warders, she said,
Nothing's really changed for us, has it?
No.
I still love you, Adam. I want you to believe that. It's just not enough. Am I making a terrible mistake? For the second time?
You're doing what you have to do, Kate. I do the same.
Would you? Tell me the truth. Would you?
Yes, I would, Kate. And I'd strangle that duck.
Well, as a lot of you here noticed, that came from the embattled crossroads. Now, something else you may already have noticed, if you've been looking this way, is one of the reasons why performers send out those 4-letter distress signals. It's that strange TV phenomenon whereby the mere presence of a camera can suddenly cause totally inanimate objects to behave as though they've just joined the militant tendency. In fact, certain members of the acting profession seem to have come up with a brand new scientific law. Objects only perform sometimes, known for short as OOPS, or just oops.
One day, when Billy and the animals were sitting on top of the hill, Woodley said,
"You're very lucky there wasn't another one up the spout."
A man can be as wise as Solomon and have an iron character and still be carried away by roulette. I'm Cyril Richard. Good night.
First-class hotel, he gets his readies and he gets out-of-pocket X's. Hold on. Oh,
We must form an alliance with Russia. We must regard the introduction of compulsory conscription as a matter of the utmost urgency. And we must survive whatever the enemy may throw at us.
No.
Tell me you love me. Say it.
No. No, I won't say it. Because it isn't true. Now, put that down. And, well, we...
How do you do that? Outside that door now is a very famous, very distinguished actor. Really? Yes, and he's come along here specially to give me some valuable advice on acting. Do me a favour, it's probably in the Meals on Wheels, lady. Want to know if you want a starter? Well, we'll see, won't we? Right. Ooh.
Well, you couldn't have Christmas night without them, could you? Well, so much for the film and television hazard known as oops, or objects only perform sometimes. But certain embittered directors will tell you there's a similar syndrome called POPs, short for performers only perform sometimes, because they do tend to exhibit either left-handedness in both feet or an urgent need for a memory transplant?
Hi, I'm Tom Brookshire.
And I'm...
One of the fiercest critics of the District Council's failure to provide a...
Ours will get through, if anybody can.
You know what I wish?
What?
I wish I knew what the hell my next line is.
Knowing you as I do, I would say you probably picked the magician's pocket.
No, I rolled the Lone Ranger. What kind of a question's that? Say, isn't that...
Could be.
The momentary lag. Say, isn't that the cigarette case that I gave you?
Why weren't you at my party tonight?
The party?
Yes.
Oh, your party, it was tonight?
Yes, tonight.
I thought it was tomorrow night.
Oh, you'll never guess who showed up.
Who?
Zorro.
El Zorro?
Yes.
He must be 85 years old by now.
Well, he looks marvelous. And he made a complete fool out of Esteban.
With Esteban, there's so much material to work with.
Oh,
let me
that's
help.
exactly what Zorro would have said.
Let me help you, honey.
It's a very Zorro. Oh. So, this is your bedroom.
Now, do you ever get into an argument? Yorkshire Television are thinking of starting a programme. I can't remember what the hell they're starting a programme about.
That snip of yours is going to put up a good show that's going to be a credit to Emmerdale.
Oh, well, my duty's clear.
Now, Joe. Jack, I mean Matt.
We should see him and Magnus Pike at parties, testing each other on the words of happy birthday. But just to show that light entertainment isn't the only television department that could rename its house garbled versions, Part 2 will lift the lid on the emotional chaos lurking within news and current affairs. But let's go into the break on another tack. According to a reliable estimate, America now has a 250-year reserve of TV game shows. So it's hardly surprising that some participants who come on as celebrities go off as calamities.
Television's most exciting hour of fantastic prizes. The fabulous 60-minute quiz is ready. Susan Kaplan, come on down. Yolanda Bowsley, come on down.
My name is Carol Klein, challenger Joe Smith, and players, here are the categories which we will be using in this next game. They are as follows. Categories are coming up right now, and you and I will both be delighted when they do. And these were written in invisible ink, as you can see.
Could we have the second question, please, Jeffrey? Jeffrey, how about the second question?
Now, listen, before we play our golden medley, let's take a look at Carolyn Tobin in our gold room just off stage. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Tom.
Things nice and cool back there?
Oh, yeah.
That's good. Carolyn, our $100,000 tunes can be old or new, popular or classical, and in that safe just to your left, there are sealed packets, each containing a mystery tune with the title blacked out, and another sealed packet containing the name of that tune. Now, Guard Addis, will you please open the safe? Guard Addis, there he comes. He will now dial the final digit in the combination and open the safe, and when he does that, Carolyn, I want you to reach in there, and there will be a wheel, and... Guard Addis, could you open the door, please? Yeah. He forgot the combination.
I don't believe it. Well, you have to introduce another player, and
with a great deal of pleasure, we present Karen Lesko. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. You?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
You know John?
Yes, we do.
Doesn't she have pretty nipples? Pretty...
25,
Folks, don't go too far away. There's a load more fun on 3, 2, 1. See you then.
The Horse Canyon fire, like many others in California, was started by the actions of man. And it takes a combined effort of men and women on the fire line and the pilots in these air tankers to bring them under control and hold the loss to a minimum. Bob Banfield, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, I didn't know he was going to be that close.
West of Fort William is perhaps the most famous scenic route in the country, the Road to the Isles. Running shoulder to shoulder with it on the same spectacular journey between Fort William and Raleigh.
Philadelphia woke this morning to discover that it was not all a dream. That the Phillies, for the first time in their long and often painful history, were the champions.
Three Kings is requested by Mrs. Beaumont of Becontree Avenue, Dagenham in Essex, for her daughter Mary. It's for Mr. and Mrs. Lovell of Fairfax Road, Swiss Cottage, London.
The price of strawberries, as well as the price of many other fruits and vegetables, is bound to be higher from now on. Bill Stout, CBS News, Salinas, California.
Oh. One of the features in the next 24 hours is that the low down here will start to fill a little. These gales ought to disappear by then, and the winds along the east coast become somewhat lighter. Let's have a look at the local chart. It's good here, isn't it?
Can you tell me why you're so fascinated by model railways?
Well, it's my living, railways, and naturally enough, I'm fascinated in model railways.
This is a war in which we often literally have to dig out the enemy, and these highly trained German shepherd dogs are the job. Along with their U.S. Army trainers, these dogs come from the U.S. Their dogs and their Vietnamese handlers are trained to do just about everything: track and flush out the enemy, retrieve hidden or lost weapons, attack on command, just about everything except fire a gun.
The word is that dog got drummed out the services. Apparently it's now doing voiceovers for pedigreed chump. Well, in the olden days, it used to be customary for the ruling class to execute bearers of bad news, which could not only explain why Sandy Gall always looked so worried, it may also account for the high rate of calamity that besets every branch of TV journalism. In fact, the people who present the news and non-fiction programs seem to spend most of their time in the same kind of predicament as a swan. On the surface, dignified to the point of majestic, but underneath, everything going like the clappers. So we persuaded a few of our more distinguished presenters to confess the most common causes of their collywobbles, and the first one all of them mentioned was the one we now hear about from the lady they call Autocue Annie.
Autocue can make or break you on a live program.
The most important thing with autocue is to make sure that you check it. Now, the operators are very good, but everybody's human. Words can be misspelt, words can be left out.
I think what people may not always realise is that some of the best speakers depend, in fact, for their eloquence on reading autocue.
Yes, we do, you know. Goes and leans on camera 3. Well, we thought we'd like to show you what an autocue actually looks like, even if some of you are now disillusioned to see that I've been reading everything out and not making it all up as I go along. But for everyone in television, this square of glass over the camera lens onto which one's words can be invisibly projected is practically a life support system, so much so that one well-known newscaster is rumored to have requested autocue on his honeymoon. And if you're wondering how I'm now talking so fluently without looking into this, well, I do still retain some capacity for ad-libbing. Plus, of course, there's another one on that. Well, now we know what autocue is, let's see some of its pitfalls.
The idea of arranged marriage is abhorrent to most Australians, and the autocue has gotten stuck.
And there are so many other species, like these shellfish and the lovely with their armour.
There was a new presenter at ITN, a freelance, who did a late-night program called Dateline. And he checked his autocue, but he omitted to check the first 3 words, which can, on occasions, and was on this occasion, pretty vital, because when it came to the program with 5 seconds to go, the studio came quiet, the countdown to the start of the program, a live program. The music rolled, the titles rolled. He turned into camera, and with great authority, he said, "Hello, good night."
We buy 6,322 million pain-killing pills a year. So divide this lot by the population of Great Britain and multiply it by 55, and this is what we get. Can't see the autocue.
The idea of arranged marriage is abhorrent, and the autocue has stuck once again.
On location, we don't have the advantage of autocue, which we would have in the studio, and this can very often lead to what you might call memory problems.
It seems the majority of the people are confused over Proposition 14. If you're one of those, we advise that you read up on the initiative before going to the poll in November. Remember, if you're for the initiative, you're against the Rumford Fair Housing Bill. If you're against the initiative, you're for the Rumford Fair Housing Bill. I will try that again. If you're against the initiative, you're against the... If you're for the initiative, you're against...
Well, it was this incident which inspired the great West Country novelist R.D. Blackmore to write his novel Lorna Doone. And funnily enough, fiction for once is stranger than fact, for in his book, Lorna died. For in his book, Lorna did not die.
As you can imagine, several publishing companies are clamoring for the rights to her book, Patricia Hearst's story by Patricia Hearst. It's not over yet. Pat O'Brien, Channel 2 News. Oh, forgot where I was.
Pleasantville, no.
Where am I? Where are we, seriously?
Pleasantville. Pleasantville?
No.
No, not.
What's the name of this place?
Names of people represent an enormous threat, particularly if they're foreign names that you suddenly see for the first time.
If you get a difficult name to pronounce and you're really fairly uncertain in your own mind about it, there's one golden rule, which is you look the viewer straight in the eye through the camera lens and say the first thing that comes into your head.
Welcome to you on Southport tonight, how the Saints, complete with Kevin Keegan, got the new league season off to a dramatic winning start. And we've got the Meister himself, Laurie McMenemy. Oh, what a pillock.
Almost. And Sam Borzilleri, right? Borzilleri. Borzilleri. Okay, we'll start it again. No, you don't have to. The 2 American Legion attorneys most involved in this are Sam Fettig and... do it again. The 2 American Legion attorneys most involved in this case are Gene Fettig and Sam Borzilleri. Right, Borzilleri. Sam Borzilleri. Do it again.
The two American Legion attorneys most involved in this case are Sam Fettig, Gene Fettig and Sam Borzolari. There let me have it.
There was a famous West African politician whose name was Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, and that was just his surname. And it took me about 6 years to perfect that name, so that if I saw it at a moment's notice, I could look at the paper and say, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, without thinking. And I just got it right, and they shot him.
One of the traps for all sports commentators is that most sports are played with a spherical object, so you are conscious of a double meaning there sometimes.
Finally, in Sports Tonight, Lee, Pete Rose of the Cincinnati Reds was talking about the Reds' young pitcher, Wayne Granger, and about the speed of his fastball. Said Rose, Wayne can throw a baseball through a car wash, and the ball never get wet. Lee, that's sports.
Well, there's one thing for sure, Dick. He's bound to have the cleanest balls in the majors. Thank you, Dick.
State Agriculture Commissioner Jim Graham said today in Charlotte the North Carolina Agriculture Department endorses small watershed.
There are some occasions when the people you go to interview don't, in fact, give you quite what you were hoping for.
Sir, I would like your statement as Lord Mayor of London on the...
I'm not Lord Mayor of London.
What are you working on now here in the White House floral room itself?
I'm working on an arrangement for the President's office, Mr. Lawrence.
Now, what are you using in it?
Well, we have white stock, roses, of course, and heather. Right now we're using a lot of Christmas greens and holly, balsam fir, pine. Sweet peas. Lilies.
I was interviewing a woman once about something very intimate and had spent a long time telling her that this would go out on a television program. And then when I actually asked her about it, she said, I'll tell you because I trust you and I think you're very sympathetic, but I hope you won't tell anybody else. I said, we'll have to stop because about 7 million people are going to see this. You do understand, don't you? And she said, no, I'll just tell you.
General, as you know, there is now a major peace offensive underway. Has this been reflected in the fighting in South Vietnam? Has the enemy shown any evidence of... The answer is no.
How often do you come visiting today?
About 2 or 3 times a week.
How far away do you come from?
Doncaster.
Where do you mean? Children are incredible. They always do what you least expect them to.
There is a mass of technology in modern television, and from time to time, of course, it can go wrong. It goes wrong less today than it did a few years back.
Have you been giving some thought lately besides gold and silver possessions? Well, before you accept any offers, you might want to listen to a 3-part report. Marge Banks begins tonight.
And great camera work by Brian Archer.
To cross now to Canberra for our live network budget team in the national capital. Obviously, they're not quite ready for us.
Good night, Denmark, and thank you very much. Our next jury is in Yugoslavia. Dobro večer. Good evening, Yugoslavia. Could I have your votes, please? Good evening, Yugoslavia. We'll try once again. Good evening, Yugoslavia. Could I have your votes, please? If I could see the scoreboard, I think it looks... Ah, Yugoslavia. Good evening, Yugoslavia. Could I have your votes, please?
I don't have it.
Thank you very much.
A suit brought by the U.S. Olympic hopefuls who want to go to Moscow has been thrown out of federal court.
President Carter met with Lord Culloden today and told him no way will the U.S. go to Moscow. Apparently he whispered.
All machines on television are dangerous, and I think, in my experience, the most dangerous machine of them all is the microphone.
First of all, let me say that it's a pleasure to report a total of $885,000, or 83% of quota, for advanced gifts to this year's United Foundation Torch Drive. We are showing...
One's own colleagues within television don't often make the contribution you'd hoped for. On one occasion, we were looking for some library material on the Salt Talks, and we went through our library, couldn't find it anywhere, and then someone uncovered it under the heading of food and drink.
But of course, as every schoolboy knows, the Salt Talks is what happens when you have dinner with a ventriloquist. Well, in part 3, we'll be moving back to television's fiction shelf for our customary sex and violence roundup. So let's close this bit with the last question I put to our panel of notables, which was, what sort of persons create the most problems for television reporters? And I'm sorry to say, their practically unanimous answer named a group of people who may very well be watching this program. The public.
There are lots of ways in which the public can screw up your job as a reporter.
Filming in the street can be very difficult.
Sometimes the public get between you and the camera. You're trying to talk to the camera, and in the end, you're the one that's doing that.
The Consumer Price Index rose to 143.1 during the month of March. That means that goods and services, sir...
The primary purpose of the visit was to reassure the Germans that no Franco-Russian deal had been made at their expense. The Germans were already pretty...
As the new American ambassador to the seething Vietnam Republic, Henry Cabot Lodge...
Finally, the trip gave de Gaulle a chance to see Konrad Adenauer, an old friend and one of the few Germans who sees eye to eye with the French president.
The Communist Party controls, directs, and judges Soviet education. That is his great weakness, and it's a great strength and a challenge. I don't know what the hell these peasants are doing, but we can't have that.
One Portuguese official here told me our gates will always be open to refugees. Retake because of noise. Shut up!
This is a night for something new.
A wonderful night for something new.
Just me and you. Just me and me, and just you and you. This is a night for something new.
A wonderful night for something new.
Just me and you.
We have to get this woman, the senator's wife, to Philadelphia by... Make that California, will you?
Oh, Kermit.
No, I'm Scooter.
Yeah, I do believe that the situation, the deterioration of the military situation is a product of the deterioration of the political situation.
How to strangle the English language with your bare tongue. Well, before we get into this portion of what might be called the Muffet Show, may I again assure you that the kind of mishaps we reveal do not occur all the time in films and television. They crop up no more than once or twice in a very long while. So let's look at a couple of hundred more once or twices, starting with a batch of commercials, because among the trophies we brought back from the States were some well-preserved reminders that in the early days of American television, some commercials used to be performed live.
It always keeps itself frost-free.
somebody's playing games. Well, ordinarily, it's completely automatic. There's never anything that you have to do. And the secret is inside here. I think we've left off the current. At any rate, inside, there is a magic counter button, and it's the sign of the frost-free system. You never have to worry about it. You never have to touch it. You never have to defrost the freezer or the refrigerator. And here's why. You see, there's a little magic counter button up here, and every time you open and close the door, a small amount of frost enters by the warm, moist air. And when the door has been opened and closed enough times, that means about 60 times, well, the magic counter button sends a signal that starts the frost-free system to work.
It's good as gold for growing youngsters any time at all. And you know, Peter Pan is made to stay good as gold, fresh and moist, any time at all, from the first big swoop off the top of the jar right down to the little bit at the bottom. So for happy young faces, at all times, make sure you've got Peter Pan peanut butter on hand. And good times, all times. Or do you? I really go after that peanut butter when I go. Well, listen, I must have weakened it through the 2 or 3 run-throughs of the commercial we had before. It's great peanut butter. The jar is something else.
How much are eggs this week at Penn Fruit and Dale's? Only 49 cents a dozen for grade A.
We have devised a completely new test tonight to demonstrate once again the ruggedness and the dependability of the Timex shock-resistant waterproof watch. Now, this is a powerful outboard motor that our engineers have especially set up in our studio in order to make possible this live demonstration. We've attached my Timex directly to the propeller blade, as you see here. Now we'll submerge it in the tank. And all right, let's go. Well, just imagine. The Timex watch on that propeller, let's lift her out, has been slashed through the water on that blade to the tune of 4,500 revolutions per minute. What a test for a waterproof, shock-resistant watch. That it threw the watch off in the tank, and I'm very sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, because we had it all arranged so you would get a picture of that sweep hand still working, as it did perfectly during numerous rehearsals here tonight, I assure you.
Actually, they've worked out a much better demonstration of it these days. They strap one to Patrick Moore's tongue. Well, now, in a different vein, possibly varicose, we're going back even further than those early TV commercials, because what we managed to slap a preservation order on in Los Angeles were some outtakes from some really vintage 1930s films. The stars that they featured included, among others, Edward G. Robinson, James Cagney, Frederick March, Betty Davis, but the final one, just after Betty Davis, well, see if you can identify him on your own.
You think that, but you don't know.
If I only knew the line now, how beautifully we could play this scene.
Quit tapping telephone wires. Spend your time building up new rackets. So that when McLaren comes up for air, you'll find a dozen more guys.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
I'm the hell am I?
Get it. Damn it.
There it goes.
Left, right, left, right. Ha! 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 Let's go.
See, Prince Benedict, how he is everywhere to poison me. Every instant I am in danger and like it to Maxwell. Oh.
Help me, dear God, help me. I'm caught on his back.
You're looking blooming.
Oh, I'm fine. You been getting any lately?
Overtime, you mean?
We were trying to work out what that uniform was that he was wearing there. Wouldn't it be marvellous if it was air traffic controller? Now, on our previous outings, we had a fair number of animal outtakes. So this time round, we thought we'd confine our quota of four-legged foul-ups only to those involving elephants. Now, this decision was made partly so as to bring you another glimpse of a classic Blue Peter episode. Right, that one. But mostly because elephants were the only animals we could find.
If you're looking for a bed in the sales, you could spend good money and live to regret it. In a word, end up with a white elephant. Or you could. Thank you.
That was the music from it, Peter and the Wolf, at the beginning of the programme. Hello, there goes my notes. The programme tonight is something of a triple celebration, a quadruple celebration, because we're celebrating our 25th birthday.
You could buy genuine Slumberland in the sale. The special, with posture springing into the bargain. Sorry.
Not only do they never forget, it looks like that one doesn't forgive either. Well, before we round off this exhibition of self-inflicted wounds, our thanks go to all the performers who permitted us to reveal them in their off-peak moments, and, of course, to everyone on both sides of the Atlantic who helped us to find those moments. Mind you, we still regret some we didn't manage to track down, like, for instance, the continuity announcer saying, and after the break, it's Christmas at Chris Rhodes. To say nothing of the legendary moment when a world-famous pop star's trousers fell down just as he was singing the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. As for any moral to be drawn from all those scenes of thud and blunder, well, it's possibly the one you'll find lurking behind our last batch, namely that the one time a cock-up becomes really inevitable is the moment you start thinking, well, at least nothing can go wrong now.
Arthur, one man doesn't make a government.
I don't know what's changed you. We both voted Tory last time.
That was 10 years ago. A lot's happened in 10 years.
And who brought us through the worst of it then, eh?
We all did our fair share. We deserve fair shares in the future.
Well, you can be fair without turning socialist. Or would you rather live in Russia?
Well, I may as well if I'm not allowed to put my own posters up at my own windows.
Do you want Audrey Maitland round here kicking up a fuss? Now, she'll not appreciate living next door to a socialist.
Arthur, I've got news for you.
What?
There's an ambulance going past.
I know.
Very steady. Be quicker up the stairs, wouldn't it? No. Come on. Up the stairs, come on. Do you like it then?
It's great. What'll it do?
Oh, it's got 110 on the clock.
Have you?
Of course I have.
Why me?
Because there are laws.
Oh, come on, let's have a go.
Oh, don't blame me if we get nicked.
What?
I can't get this. I don't know what song I'm doing.
Weekends we do nothing at all. Would you like to do nothing at all?
Nothing but make love.
How often do you make love to Jean?
Oh, I've never counted. 37 times. Oh, I'm sorry, I've got crap. Oh, sorry.